All right. It is the week that we've all been waiting on, and that is the week that everything starts for the 2024 Women's Basketball NCAA Championships. I'm Fran Harris. For those of you who are new here, played on the national championship team at the University of Texas. We were 34-0. We were the first undefeated champion under NCAA governance. In 1986, I played on the Houston Comets' first championship team, but more importantly, in college, every year of my college seasons, every year of my college career, I played in the NCAA tournaments. The first year, we were sent to the Midwest Regional to play the mighty Louisiana Tech. The second year, we were sent to Louisiana Tech again, lost both years. The third year, we were sent to the Mid-East Regional in Western Kentucky, at Western Kentucky in Bowling Green, Kentucky, where we were also hosting the Final Four that year. That was 1985. We go to the Mid-East Regional and we lose to Western Kentucky. Don't bring that up, okay? I don't know why I brought that up. Brought that up for a point. The next year, 1986, we went 34-0, ran the table en route to our first national championship, and actually Texas's only national championship. That's my history. That's why I get to talk about what I get to talk about on my channel. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about what it means to get to the NCAA final field, the 68, used to be 64, 68 field, and to be playing this week. Because it does mean something. Congratulations to all of your teams. It is a really exciting time to be still dancing, to be playing. But there's some things you should know, and I'm probably going to have to do multiple videos on this. We're going to start, we'll put my glasses on. We're going to start with what this week is like. After you sit in front of the television and they televise you getting excited about what's about to happen for your team this week, what happens? What happens after that? So there are a couple of places. There's externally what happens, meaning the things outside the team, and then there is internally what's happening. So first of all, externally what's happening is that your athletic department, if you're hosting, they're getting ready for all the hoopla. They're getting the marketing people, the game engagement people, the arena people, all of the logistical operational things that they have to handle. That's what the external folks are doing. What's most important though is what the team that advanced to the tournament, what's most important is what they are doing this week. And it is an important week, right? Not everybody got invited to play. Not everybody's still playing in the NCAA. Some people are playing in the new women's invitational thing. Some people are playing in the NIT. But really, the big show is the NCAA tournament. So let's talk about 4 things that your team, your favorite team, is likely dealing with this week, and what they should be addressing in a very positive way, making sure that they're not looking over things. Here are the 4 things your favorite team or teams should be on their minds. All right, so internally, if I could read my handwriting, number 1, and this is the most important thing, and this is probably for the fans as well. Get over where you thought you were going to be seated. Get over where you think you should have been seated. A lot of people, when that announcement is made on Sunday, on Selection Sunday, a lot of people get in their feelings. We were one of those. I've been there. We've been there where you think you should be a number this or you should be this or whatever. The first thing you have to do on Selection Sunday after you get excited or whatever you get for your team is to get over where you thought you should go. Oh, we should have been a number 4 seed, or we should have been a number 1 seed, or we should have been a number 8 seed instead of a number 12. Get over it. That is the first step towards having a successful postseason. Get over it. They're not going to change it. You can't call the NCAA committee and say, you got this wrong. We should have been here. Get over it. Now, that may sound like a very straightforward, simple, well, duh, but it's not. And if you've never played in the postseason, you don't know how important that is. Because those little traces of you thinking you deserve something that you didn't get will get in the way of you being in that moment to do what you need to do for that game. And it's one and done, right? So one game, you're out. So you expending, even as fans, y'all, you need to get your collective energy right in the direction for your favorite team. So if you are still focusing and harboring resentment or whatever you're harboring about what the NCAA committee didn't do for you and your team, you're wasting your energy. And that's energy you could be channeling to get your team going in the right direction, because it's one and done. I got on a t-shirt that says no more excuses. No more excuses. I don't care if you're number one team or the number 68 team. It doesn't matter. One and done. Get your mind right. So number one thing you and your team need to do, fans, is to get over where you were seated. Number two, higher seeds don't mean a damn thing. Okay, well, some of y'all are like, well, yeah, but my team is undefeated. Been there. Oh, yeah, but my team ran the table in conference. Been there. Oh, yeah, but my team got 4 All-Americans on it. Been there. It doesn't matter. Higher seeds don't matter. Yes, statistically, you can go back through the history books and see that most of the time, higher seeds win, but not all the time. And if your team's head is thinking that because they're the higher seed, that they're going to just walk through this first round or the second round, we got history on our side to show us that that's not always the case. Can't remember what year it was, maybe 1998, that Harvard beat. Who did Harvard beat? I'm going to have to look this up. I'll put it in the chat. Maybe. Y'all look it up. Do your own homework. Harvard, it was a number 16 beat a number 1. It has happened. And they said it on selection show. They said it on the selection show yesterday. Number 16 beat a number 1. Don't let that be your team, because your team is thinking that because they're a higher seed, they're going to obviously just walk through whoever they're playing in these first 2 rounds. Got lots of examples of when that didn't happen. We went to Mideast Regional. We were supposed to host the Final Four that year. We lost in the semifinal. Higher seed didn't mean a thing. Okay, that's number 2. Higher seed does not guarantee that you are going to win your games. Number 3, this is for the players and for the coaches, but really it's for the players. One game at a time. One game at a time. Coaches know that, but sometimes players are thinking about the end. They're thinking about getting to the Final Four. They're thinking about, this team plays in, this slouch league. There's no way they're going to beat us. We're going to beat them by 30. These are genuine feelings and thoughts that players have. You may not want to believe that that's true, but it's true. And it's hard when you have won every game in the season, or most of your games, or you ran the table in conference, or you only lost 3 games all season to this point. It's hard not to overlook a team. If anybody tells you that it's not, they're lying. They're capping. They're absolutely capping. So your team needs to focus on the team at hand. Now, the assistant coaches, they got to be preparing this game, this scout, and that scout. But that's technically, logistically, what they just have to do. You can't wait until after somebody wins or loses. You got to scout for 4 teams. You got to scout for 2 or 3 teams. You don't know who's going to win in the second matchup. So that's different for coaches. But for players, staying in the moment is critical. Staying in the moment, not overlooking a team because of the conference they played in, or because of their schedule, or because one of their star players is hurt. These are all things that happen. And if I'm keeping it a real buck, like when we lost to Western Kentucky my junior year at Texas, did I think we were going to make it back to Austin to play in the Final Four that we were hosting? Yes. Does that mean I was looking ahead? It would seem so. It's hard not to look ahead. And anybody who tells you that they have always stayed in the moment, they're capping, they're lying. So if your team, your favorite team or teams, have the ability to truly focus, funnel their attention on the game at hand, they're going to do much better. I'm not saying obviously they're going to win, but they're certainly going to do much better if they are focusing on that. And then number 4, Coaches, and this is for your coaches, your favorite team coaches. Every coach, just like every player in any league, has a list of weaknesses. We do. Anybody who says that they don't, they're capping. Okay. Coaches have weaknesses. So this, if a coach who has been successful thinks they've been successful and they're not going to get exposed, this is the time your coaches are going to get exposed, just like this is the time your teams are going to get exposed. If they have not worked on their weaknesses, they are going to get exposed. Anybody still playing right now is fortunate to be playing, but if you haven't worked on your weaknesses as a coach, you're about to get exposed. If you're terrible at defense, you're likely going to get exposed. If you're terrible at offense, you're about to get exposed. If you're terrible at special situations, you're about to get exposed, because the whole level of scouting goes to a completely different level, because you don't have the rest of the season to prove who you are. You don't have conference, you don't have preseason, you don't have your tournament stuff you do at the beginning of November. It's one and done, baby. And if you're terrible, if you suck at something, the whole world is about to find out. And the crazy thing about that is that coaches know what they're not good at. They already know in many cases what they're not good at. And either they have put someone around them to cover that weakness for their staff, or their ego is so out of pocket that they think one other aspect of their game is going to cover the multitude of sins that they have in other aspects of their game. I'm just telling you what I know. It has never not been true. So there are only two ways to handle your weaknesses: get better at them or hire for them. Right? Your coach is about to get exposed. So right now, you may say, well, it's too late for him now. Not necessarily. If you know you're bad in special situations, then work on special situations. And make sure your team is ready for special situations. If you know you are terrible at time, score, circumstance, time, score, situation, you got to work on that stuff. Point in case, yesterday, who's this team on the men's side? Slips my mind. Who was this? Kent State. Up by 1. Score a bucket or free throw or whatever. They're up by 1. Kent State men's basketball team. One of their players calls a timeout. Just assume that they were down 1. Fouled somebody. Did they call a timeout or did they foul? No, they fouled. My bad. They didn't foul. They didn't call a timeout. They fouled. Right? They fouled. Other team went to the free throw line, and Kent State lost. Whose fault is that? Was that the coach's fault? Or was it the player's fault? I'll tell you what I think. There's no way as a coach in that situation you have not prepared your players for the possession before. So when your team had the possession, okay, we scored, we got it. Either you're yelling no fouls, or if you were in the timeout, you're saying, okay, when we score, we do not foul. We're going to be up. We will not foul. We will not blah, blah, whatever. You're giving them instructions. You're reminding them of time, score, situation. So I blame the coach. And he was furious and hurt and a whole lot of emotions when it happened. And initially he pretty much blamed the kid, which in my mind, obviously the kid needs to know what's happening, but that's the coach's job to remind their team what's happening, what we're about to do. And then he flipped it and said it was just one possession and a long one. Okay. My point is this: coaches right now are preparing their teams, but are they preparing themselves for another team, another coach exposing their weaknesses, their limitations as a coach? I've seen it too many times. I will not get into it in this video. I've seen it too many times up close and afar when coaches don't get better at the thing that they're terrible at. Like, it's no shade. Everybody's got weaknesses. But if you're getting paid $20 or $2 million, it is your job as a coach to cover your weaknesses or get better at them. Your team should not have to get to the playoffs to the NCAA tournament for you to be exposed because you're terrible at offense or because you're terrible at defense or because you're terrible at whatever. And yet that happens every single year. And then they go into the offseason and those coaches still don't get better at what they're terrible at. You think talent is always going to cover the multitude of sins that you have as a coach? And they do not. So those are the 4 things. Let me go back over them real quick. The 4 things that your team is dealing with internally right now. Number 1, get over where you got seated. That's the thing they have to start doing yesterday. Get over where you got seated is not going to change. Number 2, higher seed don't mean a damn thing. There's no guarantee that a higher seed is going to do anything. If you think that as a fan, you're delusional. We've seen too many fans. We've seen too many teams get knocked off because they were overlooking, they were number 1 and they were overlooking the 14th seed or 12th seed or whatever. Number 3, one game at a time for players. Just one game at a time. Don't look ahead. And then number 4, coaches, make sure you've covered your weaknesses as a coach and as a staff. You got time. You got time. You got time to prepare to make sure that you cover your weaknesses as a coaching staff. All right, we'll talk to you guys soon. Congratulations for those of you who are still dancing or still playing in any of the other tournaments, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.